Be fine.
I was born to do a podcast. The only thing I know how to do is talk.
Well, I've already started recording, and so
like you said, top Scrap. That's amazing.
Oh, wait. 3, 2, 1.
Well, it doesn't matter. I'm going to edit it anyways. Welcome, everyone, to the inaugural episode of Around the Mage Table. I am Frank, your host, joined by Lithian down here in my bottom right corner, and Scrap over in the bottom left, and of course, always on top, Shawnee. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Great.
Awesome.
Super.
Perfect. Why did we start this podcast? Well, for starters, because we want no one to listen to it, but also because as I continue to talk with the three of these folks and a lot of people on our Discord, we constantly are having this conversation around the meta and everything that you get on YouTube and Wowhead and Icy Veins or whatever the nonsense you look at. And honestly, it's not that I want to argue that it's wrong. I just don't think it's for us, right? Mm-hmm. I was listening to the Potty C, which is Max from Liquid and Dratnos and I think Dorky, and they're talking. And again, of course, these are the foremost experts on all things WoW. But you could tell that they're not talking to us. They're talking to like the, not even 1%, the 0.1%. And I know that because as Scrap and I are fighting for our 3K IO, I continue to look to see what the cutoff for the title for Mythic Plus is, and it's like expected cutoff of 3,400. Not anywhere close that we're going to get that score, right? None of us in this room are going to get that score. I'm like sweating just getting 3K.
3K is exhausting.
Yep. And so we all agreed that either we have contention with some of the things we see online with like the meta or even just in general reaction to the news or sentiment towards raids and dungeons. But we felt like we had to make the podcast for the rest of us in WoW. For the plebs, for the people who have to pug, for the AOTCers, not the cutting edgers. And so, that's what our aim is, and we will do our best. I do need to put a disclaimer in the very first episode that says, and I think you guys would all agree, none of us would consider ourselves experts. We'd like to think we are, right? Lithian does. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, Lithian, how much of an expert are you?
I'm a casual. It's fine.
Well, that's not a number, so you're already off to a great start. But yeah, no, I mean, the goal here is that we discuss a lot of things throughout the course. I don't think we're going to have a timeline necessarily, but ideally maybe once a month or something we come together and talk about the news. And we put this out there and see all the hate mail we get from people in our Discord. Ma'am?
I'm ready to give my take.
On what? On the podcast?
On
you hate the podcast already?
No, on the meta.
On the meta. Well, hold on. Okay, we'll get there. No, we already are. We already have.
Okay.
Let's rank yourself in expertness first.
Yeah. Okay, so Lithian's a casual, which is not a number. Shawnee, what number are you? You've got PvP elements, so you're a PvP expert in this podcast, because I don't think any of us...
What? I did PvP, or I did.
So I'm going to stick with my original claim. You're the PvP expert.
Okay, sure. I would say knowledge versus actual skill differ. Like skill level, like a 5, but knowledge, like a 7.5.
Okay, how would you rate yourself when it comes to incorporeal dispels?
10.
10, cool, love it.
10
I'm on board. All right.
As you've seen.
And now to our actual resident expert on everything else, Scrap. Where would you rank yourself?
There's a lot of different lanes that you could be that I could rank myself in. It's like, how do I say, like.
Didn't you just interject in my introduction to say I'm ready to rate the meta?
I've listened to your intro and I'm ready to give my opinion. But I would say from my perspective, I'm an expert. Like from a pugger's perspective, doing like 20 to 23.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair for all of us in this channel to argue that we do have some expertise, right? Because even though we're not in the 0.1%, we're still playing in I'd say the top 3%, if I were to venture a guess, which would still make us, elitists or whatever. But I think we have a different perspective, and that's why the podcast is so important to me. I think we have a different perspective than everyone else that you see on YouTube and elsewhere.
I think on the topic of pugging for in a non-meta lane, like for the top 1% and not top 0.1%, I would say I'm an expert, yeah.
I'm a casual. You're casual.
Now,
hold on. Wait. Can I introduce my credentials, Frank?
Sure. Okay. Let's get your resume out.
I'm in the top 100 United States survival hunters currently.
Wait, are you top 100?
Yeah.
Don't make me pull out Raider IO. I'll put it up right up on screen.
yesterday I was at like
All right,
89.
let's do this. All right,
I
we'll go ahead.
I think you still are.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and open it up.
Hold
I gotta
up.
say, you're the best survival hunter I've
Calling it
met.
on the stream.
Here we go. Let's pull it up.
Let's call you out.
Just so everyone can dox you as well while we're at it.
Dox my character? What are you gonna go find me in Valdrakken?
Mm-hmm. All right, suspect.
Those are
Oh,
great.
you're. Look at this.
100.
Look at this. Unbelievable.
Exactly 100.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give it back to you. Okay.
So yeah. Okay, I'm ready.
Back on track.
Survival.
Well, that's what we're gonna
100
talk
out of
about.
100.
Is
Yeah.
that even if you're playing an unplayed like non-meta spec, like you can be successful at
Well,
it. That's the topic, right?
That brings me to my next point, because the other thing that I think qualifies us to speak on, I don't want to say behalf of the non-meta, right? But we don't chase metas here, right?
Mm-mm.
Lithian chases everything, but just because he hits a meta doesn't mean he's chasing it,
Yeah.
That's true.
So-
he actually tries to
Windwalker.
avoid the meta.
right?
I
Yes.
mean, he's said I hate meta. I've
You
heard
were
him say
talking
it.
about playing your DH like 2 days ago.
No, yesterday.
Yesterday. In fact,
Yeah.
you did play your DH a couple days ago. You said you
talked
did to
about
get the trading post done.
He
Well-
talked about his DH today.
Well, I had to. I had to
Guys,
do
if
some
we
stuff
go
to
on
get
a
some
rant
points.
about Lithian and his alts, that would be in and of itself its own podcast. So
Yeah.
let's wait until we get picked up by Spotify,
I'm
and
an
then we can
expert
go
on
ahead
all
and
classes.
split it up.
Introduce what were the first argument, Frank.
So today's topic is the meta, all right? And what I really want to just point out before we go in is that, Scrap, you play as survival hunter, as we've already established, which is
Yes.
not meta, all right?
No. Not
Shawnee,
remotely.
you used to play rogue, but you've been maining a paladin this whole expansion. Wasn't meta definitely in season 1, but I think it picked up some momentum in season 2. Right now it's doing
Yeah.
pretty well, right?
It's
Yeah,
been a
it's been
mini.
alright.
But you're not
mid,
playing it
right?
for the meta, right?
No, God, no.
Lithian, you've played
Everything.
Demon Hunter, I think
Feral?
you started with. Feral,
He started with Feral.
Guardian,
No. DH.
DH,
Or no, DK.
Monk
Give him
right
DK,
now.
remember?
right?
Oh, the DK. Yeah, I forgot.
DK, he did play that for a second. He did play Arcane once, hated it.
He played
Um,
his Evoker a little bit last week.
a little bit, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Yeah, actually, I think he played a lot before the season ended.
He logged
but-
into Impa last week once.
and then
Shaman. Yeah.
Warlock.
I really kind of I like playing tank the most, so I consider tank as my main. But I haven't been playing it a lot this
Really?
season. Yeah, I love my paladin. So I play
You get
prop
the attack
paladin.
on it.
But of course,
Mostly
my
been
passion,
healing.
my love is my arcane mage, and I
Well,
always
you've
go to the
mostly
side
been
group.
healing though this season.
No, not really. I've been ton more keys on my
and
mage.
keys.
Oh, and keys.
Yeah. Yeah, but anyways, yes, I've been playing Mistweaver as well. Finally seeing a good Mistweaver build that can exist in keys. But point is this: let's take a look real quick, and I'm gonna switch back to the tier list. Here we go. We're gonna focus today mostly on the tier lists for. Sorry, I'm moving things around for DPS. Right? We can talk a little bit about the tanks and all that stuff, but. This was the tier list, which let me see what the date says. It was 11/29, so right when the season came out. Okay, this was their predicted tier list. Now, I want to say before we go any further, you guys can remember the arguments I got into when the season came out about how I said this is nonsense for many reasons. One, they obviously can't predict based off what they see on
ETR.
well, yeah, PTR. Two, there's always tuning, right? And three, and the most important one to me, right, is they're talking to the people who are going to be running 30 plus keys, right? Or plus 30 keys, which is beyond the realm of reasonable. Now, I do want to give credit to where it's due. Every one of those people, Tettles, Ratnus, all of them, right? Whenever they talk about these tier lists, they will say, this can definitely be done by anyone, any key, or any key up to 20 plus, right? Like, 24, 25 maybe is when things start getting a little hairy. And there's definitely an argument, I'm not going to go down this lane, for augmentation. So we're going to leave augmentation out of this conversation because in and of itself, that was a test that arguably failed. But I'm looking at this tier list already. We had arguments about this, so I'm not going to move on from this tier list yet. I want your guys' input on this. Like, for example, Survival was on the lower end. Windwalker, of course, was on the lower end. They had a huge rework that still seems to bring them in at the lower end, but, Lithian's doing well with it. Where's Rhett? Rhett's over there in B+. What are your guys' thoughts, just initially, off what you saw back then with the tier list? And what do you guys always look at when you see tier lists?
I mean, initially. I feel like most of it, for the most part, is close to what's going on. But not for what I see norm. Like, I don't see many enhancement shamans.
We're gonna test that theory with what's, and I'm gonna put air quotes, going on, right? Let's call it a couple things, right? So I, of course, always look at the mages, fire and frost. Now, I know fire is performing well in some of the higher end keys, right? But what I really want to pull from this and talk about amongst us is, you guys have seen a couple fire mages in your groups, right?
Yep.
Garbage.
No, not always, but
The one,
okay.
I saw Scrap freak out about a fire mage that was garbage.
Right, so
Yeah.
tell us that story, Shawnee. Do you want to tell us the story?
Well, I was in a key with Scrap and Frank and
It was
Lithium,
what, like a 23
we're
throw or
gonna
something
end
like
up
that?
bringing up the game though now. I'm
Yep.
gonna have to
and
argue.
we're in a key.
Lithium recorded
and
it, don't worry.
Scrap brought in this fire mage who specifically said they would get the incorporals, and then Scrap freaked out about their DPS as I was beating them in DPS, had more interrupts, and had all the incorporals, and still went on about how great they were, and then they ended up being third overall in DPS and
Like, not even
incorporal.
close.
Well, I
Even-
was mainly trying to build them up because I had points on the line in my points game, so
Yeah,
it's completely unrelated.
Unbelievable.
but yeah, the fire mage was trash.
Right, and
Well-
so, sorry, go on, Scrap.
I was gonna say, like, when I look at a tier list, I mean, this means nothing to me if I'm going into a pug, right? Like, I'm using my experience of like what I see,
Okay.
and I don't see a lot of fire mages performing really well because it's really hard to play. Like, but I do see a lot of like.
All right,
Beast
first tilt
Mastery-
of the evening. Oh,
What? Fire
mean,
mage
Arcane-
is not hard to play?
Arcane's harder.
Fire
No,
Mage.
I-
I'm not
Fire-
gonna say Fire Mage isn't hard to play, right?
No, I'm saying I'm not comparing it to Arcane Mage.
I'm not- I know you're
just
not.
saying I'm looking at the things at the
God,
top.
now I'm just gonna bring
and
up
I'm
another
thinking
tier
about-
list.
I'm looking at the things at the top, and I'm looking at who in the SNA tier who I would actually bring into a pug. Like if I had no
Okay.
requirements, like hero was covered, B-res was covered.
Sure.
Who am I picking to go into my key? I'm picking a demon hunter,
Yep.
or an outlaw rogue, or a BM hunter.
I would
because-
take a demonology warlock. They've been pumping.
Well, demonology warlock is tricky because some of them do really well, and some of like if you play it really well, like we did with that demonology warlock the other day, and you called him a nuke, Frank. Like he was
Yeah,
doing
no, he
like
he did-
like almost 400k overall.
Yeah, he did.
because
He did
was
like
really skilled.
40% more damage than both
But
of
in
y'all.
pugs, do I frequently see a demonology warlock doing anywhere near that? Not really. However, like demon hunters, pretty consistently always doing a ton of damage, and I think it's because it's like I'm not looking at
You
just
say
like
that,
what's. What?
But
What do you
I've
mean I say
seen
that?
some like demon hunters miss hard. Like I had pulled one into a fall or a rise,
Mhm.
and he was second to last because the warlock fell off at the end. But
Mhm.
second to last on DPS. His IO was like 3100.
Yeah.
Right. I think the only one on this list that I feel the safest with is Beastmaster Hunter.
Beastmaster Hunt.
But that's also
Yeah.
the deadest, easiest class to like play.
I'm just saying it's nice when there's a dead easy class at the top because then you can be like, okay, they're probably gonna be okay.
But-
So hold on, I have a hot take. I have a spicy take.
Okay.
The stuff at the top of the list you need to be wary about because everybody in their pug they
They're
see
chasing
this list. They
fodder,
open
yeah.
their Wowhead, they say, "Oh, like fire mage, blah blah blah." So these guys get artificially high IOs because they end up getting pulled into higher keys of people thinking like, "Oh, I saw like fire mage is really good," and then they get dragged through enough keys that their score gets artificially high. That's my opinion.
I
I
obviously
feel
that can
people at the
happen.
bottom, yeah, but people at the bottom, like people playing like arms warriors and like shadow priests, is that at the bottom? Shadow
Yeah.
priests are
Yeah.
good though. Like they had to work really. They have to be good at what they're doing in order to succeed, right?
No. Arms is incredibly good currently. Like every
Yeah.
arms warrior I've been in is just.
I haven't even seen a single. I've seen a couple Fury Warriors that were pumping and some that were not. They're kind of middly, but I'm just saying, like, I'm often looking for people who have high scores who are not meta because I know they know what they're doing. They're not just chasing meta. They're not just looking at Wowhead and saying like, "Oh, I should play this guy," for the first time ever this season. End up with an artificially high IO. Like,
So
I feel like
hold on. I want to
yeah.
challenge this though, right?
Sure.
Because I get what you're saying there. Like there is merit in saying like, as an arcane mage, you see me and you go, well, that guy might have had to work harder to get his IO. Fair
Yeah,
enough, right?
yeah.
Lithium. Frost is right next to fire. Now, I know Shawnee's played Frost. And he immediately switched off of Arcane to Frost and said, why the hell would anyone ever play Arcane? Frost is super easy. You know this to be true, Lithium, but have you seen good Frost mages?
No. Mages are hit miss in general.
I think they're all miss. And I'd even argue I'm sometimes an all miss.
You don't have to argue that.
I'll see you at 3K when I beat you.
The issue with mages is Frost is good. Frost is probably the best out of the three that I see.
I concur with that. Like, if I'm picking a mage, it's gonna be a Frost mage probably.
But it's because they can move around a little bit. They have some instant cast stuff, and they can deal with some of the mechanics better than the other ones.
I don't play mage, but I do understand that like Frost mage isn't as cooldown dependent as fire or arcane, where it's like you have to get your cooldowns correct. So if the key is a bit messy, a Frost mage will be better because
I mean you still have to know
fire mages
how to deal with your rotation.
Yeah, and fire mages have cauterization, which makes them super survivable. So like the argument is that they're more likely to survive.
Let's see in a pug though. Yeah, but they have to get their like combustion windows right. Like at certain points. So I think in a clean key with like friends, right, where you know the tank and healer are going to be consistent, the fire mage might be good. But if you're doing a pug, I'm kind of always expecting there to maybe be a wipe or something doesn't get handled correctly because we're not communicating, right? We're just kind of hoping everybody is doing their job and is able to take care of themselves. I think the fire mage, like, because they have to get their cooldowns like in the right spots, and also like they can't die 5 seconds into their combustion window, otherwise they're not going to have big DPS for another 3 minutes.
Yeah, but that's arcane as well. I mean, that's a lot of classes we could argue,
arcane
right?
too. But Frost, that's not the same, right?
No, it's just it used to not be the same. They reworked Frost so that Icy Veins matters more. But it also like was a more consistent cooldown so you could prepare for it.
Yeah.
I want to move on to Unholy Death Knight, right? Because what stemmed a lot of this argument at the start was about how Death Knight was ranked. Now, granted, what we saw from another website, I can't remember what it was, maybe it was a YouTube video or something, they ranked Unholy really low, right? And they also ranked Ret Paladin really high. So one of our guildmates, we'll call it, played Red over Unholy. Here they're neck and neck. Now, I just left a key, 22 Rise, right, with an Unholy Death Knight that had the legendary and did awful. Like 40% off me at the top, right? And again, I didn't play that well either. So like, I just, the reason I say all this is because obviously there's so many variables in plugs anyways. We obviously can't like, pugs are pugs. And people can buy their score, evidently. But like the point I'm trying to make is that if we have all these people going to Wowhead, because that's, the number one thing is go to Wowhead and look at and you see what's going well and look at the not only the tier list, but also the guides. If I'm a new player, I'm gonna go, oh man, I should play Unholy because it's this or Fire because of that. Like that's, I feel like that's doing a disservice to the community.
I agree. I think there's a misunderstanding that this tier list is for everybody.
But who's it for?
I think
it's for the people who have organized keys. These are for like top players, like you said. This is for the 0.1%.
But then why do they need Wowhead?
Oh, I don't know. To argue.
tier list. If you're gonna chase the meta, then you'll use these tier lists, right? If you aren't really good at putting pugs together, you might look at a tier list and see what's good, right? Or maybe you go to sub creation or you go somewhere else, whatever. But when I look at the tier list, there's a couple of classes that I enjoy a lot. Windwalker I do enjoy a lot, and it was toward the bottom.
Even on the podcast this week, Potty C, they were talking about Windwalker got buffed, but it's still like D tier.
Yeah, it is. But when I beat these A and S tiers, like I beat a Demon Hunter the other day, and it makes me happy. That's what I think about tier lists.
I think that's the one argument that I would prop the most, right? And this is what we always say when we're reforming raids, right? Play what you love, because if you play what you love, and again, a lot of the people who make these YouTube videos will say the same thing. They'll be like, look, if you're really chasing Fodom, you're playing a different game, and honestly, it may not work out, because even to your point, if you play it perfectly, you're still not going to, in a pug environment, have the right pulls, because no doubt, if Fire went against Arcane or Frost in a, like an MDI style run, I do believe Fire would win out, right? For X amount of reasons. The same thing that, like, Beastmaster would lose to Survival Hunter scrap, right? But
I I don't think so. In a perfect setting.
In a perfect setting, Beastmaster does win.
I think
Well,
Beastmaster
don't worry,
would
Scrap.
probably.
We're gonna look
in
at the
a
perfect
key
settings.
setting,
We're gonna look at the perfect settings, and we're gonna see that to be untrue. So
Well,
don't
hold on,
worry.
I am saying.
You're pulling in your bias based on your experience.
Okay.
Like BM Hunter gets a lot better in like uncapped cleave than survival does. So in a key, if you're
Yeah.
an MDI route, it's probably Beastmaster's probably gonna win out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again,
Oh, okay.
in fairness, right? This tier list might accurately reflect that. We'll look at the actual tier list here in a second, but that might accurately reflect it, and that's fair. But what I'm arguing here is that the people, like, because again, I would go watch YouTube if I were, like, not even worried about Arcane. In fact, we do. Like, we all, when the season starts, Lithium, you post them. I know, Shawnee, you look at them, and Scrap, you don't look at them because you don't give a shit. But at the end of the day, if you see your survivals at the top, you're going to get pumped, right?
Well, okay, so I didn't even look at where they were placing survival because most people who are placing them on tier lists, they don't know anything about it, or they're just kind of like I've seen one where there was a guy polling the his chat and being like, where should we put this? Because I don't get it.
Yeah, no, Max says it, but what he does is he always pulls in an expert of that class, and they give him the ranking. Right.
Okay, so they should pull me in so I can tell them. Because I didn't look at what the ranking was.
I want to repeat our disclaimer about the expertise at the start of this podcast. Scrap is the foremost leader of survival.
Thank you. I looked at the 4 set and how that and the talents that I wanted to build around it, and I was like, oh, this is gonna pump hardcore and keys because it was building up a lot of AoE stuff, and it was giving a lot of momentum to the rotation.
Sure.
So when I see that, I'm like, oh, like it's all centered around like getting more bombs out and Fury of the Eagle, like coming up quicker with some things, like a bunch of stuff that changed together.
But that doesn't mean you're going to win the keys.
No, but I'm saying I did not look at a tier list. What was I saying the whole time? I said you guys would be so sorry next season because it looks so good.
And yet you get beat by Haywire as Beastmaster.
Yeah, because Beastmaster's broken, and I don't always get beat by Haywire.
And you die, and then you lose.
They got nerfed like crazy, and he's still beating you.
I'm just saying I don't always get beat by Haywire.
No, in fairness, no,
and it's always
again,
a very small margin if he does beat me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll pull up the logs here in a second.
Yeah.
And again,
one more thought is that also Haywire plays Beast Mastery Hunter extremely well. I think I play Survival Hunter probably at 80 to 90% perfection, right? Like the average Beast Mastery Hunter I'm crushing in keys.
Yeah.
I won't argue that point, but what I want to
is extraordinarily good at what he does.
So. Yes, he is. He's a good player, and I think the point I want to make though is that, again, like on any given day, because I've beaten you on my Arcane Mage, and that was, I would argue, a fluke, right? So on any given day, any of these specs can beat the other, of course, by the player, but. I wanna go back to like, so what happens is that I always like get weary about these tier lists and again like getting fights on Discord about it because I'm like, dude, just play what you like, play what you'll be good at, right? Because the second someone picks Rep Paladin, the next day, like the first week of the raid, Rep Paladin's now at the bottom and Unholy's at the top, and then the day later it's flopped, and then the day later they patch and add changes and all that stuff. But what I really want to look into, this website that I really like. Is the the Mythic Stats website. So it's mythicstats.com. And what it does is it shows you, so this is the week right here, and it shows you all the Warcraft logged runs that are 20 and higher and their performance in DPS, right?
Let's see the whole season. Can we see the whole season? Or is it just the week?
What I can do is I can pull the meta for the season.
Oh, okay, yeah, this is what I wanted to look at too.
All right. So this right here is this season right here, okay?
Yeah.
And actually, what I can do is we can drill down into the week here in a second. But like, this is more representation. This isn't performance. Right?
Gotcha. Okay. Go back to performance. Sorry, I'm looking at this chart.
So, anyways, so Havoc, of course, is at the top. Now, again, we for the most part we've seen some good Havocs. It's kind of pretty easy.
Have,
But I would argue that if we bring Jeb home, who is the Havoc demon hunter we had in our raid, he'd be destroying this tier list for them. But Outlaw Rogue, no, he's a 1%er, dude. He parses 1%.
Oh yeah, that's not very nice.
But look, Windwalker Monk up here in we'll call it top, but it's B tier for this performance wise, right? Maxing out at 272 DPS. Below Beastmaster, Enhancement Shaman was up there. Arms Warrior, again, this was, I think, a C tier. Let's look real quick. Yeah, C tier.
Yeah.
Right. Now, granted, what I like about this list is it does take into account, obviously, all the changes that have happened. But you guys were arguing Frost Mage was the best, and look where that shit is.
Well, I'm just saying
I'd
out
still
of the
bring in
mages I would
keys.
pick, because I can't really see the chart, but let's see what like the average is. The average lower, like higher?
This is based off the average.
Overall?
Oh, okay.
What's the DPS difference?
So I'll take out Havoc because right now arguably Havoc's broken. But let's say like a Demonology Warlock, they're averaging 210k, right?
Yeah.
And a Frost Mage is doing 160.
I mean, look at the difference between Arcane and Frost. Like, if you're looking at those together, it's not that different.
180 versus 160 is about a 15% difference of performance.
It's
but compared to
who cares? 15% DPS. I don't need that.
All kind of middly stuff. I'm just saying I could expect a Frost Mage to do better than the other two in general. And keys 20 to 23, let's say, because I'm sure it's different.
No, because even look, the Frost Mage has a lower cap, like the highest, right? And I mean, here's where the fire argument comes in. So again, I'm not going to argue against that.
That's about what I would expect from fire is like a really high cap for those players who are playing with consistent
the MDI
groups,
style.
They know the pools.
Yeah, because look, the highest is a 282, which would put them right above Windwalker.
Yeah. So I think that's what I was saying is that they're so cooldown dependent that they really need to be in a group that communicates and doesn't mess up.
Sure. And again, there will be classes like that, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you look where Shadow Priest is compared to the list. It's middle of the pack, and on the other list is dead last.
You're also, this is how many weeks into the season?
10
weeks?
9, I think.
9? Yeah, there's also been changes.
Sure.
I'm just saying,
Sure.
Like, I've not
like
seen
Windwalker got completely reworked, didn't it?
So. God, I mean, we could pull up thousands of tier lists because they're even still putting out tier lists, right? And I mean, another thing that drives me crazy is one person's tier list will be entirely different from another person's. So there is no data. And this is the point I like about this is that this is data driven because that matters.
It's only DPS data driven though.
What was
you can extrapolate. You can extrapolate a lot of stuff from it. Leo went on a rant about it because there's so many other variables that he wants to know about, and I agree with that. But I at least feel like this is now, if we had a compass, we're pointing closer to true north. However, it also is 20 plus keys only.
Yeah, I would like to see one with the kicks. How many kicks does each class get per?
Because you would be fucking trash at it. And survival. Survival would be F tier.
Of key success, though, is not just the DPS, right?
Well, no, because again, you'd be punishing the class for that, but it's really just the player because Shawnee might be doing the kicks really well, but Lithian's not.
But
does
Frank,
that mean
if I'm going to be going into a pug, like if I'm trying to pick a pug, I want to know which classes
you have no way
consistently.
No, they're all the same. Melees have a 8-second kick and range have like a 20 usually, and on top of that, they have displacements, but that's all the same.
I would say certain classes definitely have more utility in keys.
Yeah,
of course they do. Yeah, like I mean, look at Priest just last season alone was brought just because of Mass Dispel, right?
So I would, for me, like I appreciate the DPSness of it, but I definitely, if I was picking a pug, and there was like something that had a lot more utility and was super close in the usual amount of DPS they do, I would take the one with more utility.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the utility? Let's put out some utilities out there that you think are really important.
I guess for me,
like what's up? Unless it's obviously heroism.
Heroes or heroism.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I'm saying like in Corporal Week, if one can get it a lot easier than another,
I'll bring a warrior.
Or like rage.
Yeah, but okay, so let's look at it real quick.
That can derage quicker.
So Windwalker enhancement, Paladin, Mage, Shaman, Evoker, Druid. Is that it?
Yeah, but they don't always spec into it.
Sure, but again, you can't tell that on the pug screen, right? You can't tell this on any data. You'd have to just talk to the player in that case, right?
I feel on average certain classes seem to.
Okay. So hold on though, because now your argument is that like certain classes have a mindset that this is more important.
Not even a mindset because
I'm looking forward to that. Don't spoil the surprise at the end.
Not even a mindset, just like for me as Ret, it's easy to me to change Radiance out to the other one to get incorporals because it doesn't affect my skill tree. It's not taking away DPS.
I haven't seen all of them, so again, I'm not going to sit there and blast as an expert. But for every class that I played, like Monk and Paladin and Mage, right, and Shaman, they're very easy to take, right? You're not swapping out something for like a DPS. Almost all of them, I think, if not all of them, are in the class tree, not the spec tree. So you're very rarely having to contend with anything for DPS. Maybe a little survivability, like for Mage, I can't have like 2%, magic damage reduction, right?
Yeah, but I find too. Also, range just doesn't care. They're like, it's fine.
Hey, we're gonna get into the vibes base.
Yeah, vibes is coming later.
Because that's where all our information comes from.
Hunters can't get certain things if it's in melee. Right?
Yeah.
They can't trap in melee.
Can't trap. Well, it's very inconsistent.
Yeah.
To do.
No, I'm just saying
I'm telling you, you can't do it. Like it's.
I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying skill is part of that equation.
He's saying you can't do it.
No, you can't do it. Like if there's a ton of mobs in melee, and then the incorporeal ends up in the middle of that, I throw a trap down. It's gonna go on some random mob before it goes on the incorporeal. 9 times out of 10. So it's a lot easier for me to say, hey, somebody else get that. 5 people should be able to get it, right?
But let's be honest, guys.
If I'm building a pug, I make sure everybody can get it.
So are you saying that you will turn down hunters in not incorporeal afflicted weeks?
Well, I will say I turn down hunters just because I'm a hunter a lot of times. Unless it's a beast. Yeah, I would
always take BM.
I wouldn't. In an incorporeal week, I'm already covering, like, honestly, having a trap is really good, but it's kind of abstract to say, like, oh, we can't get any of the ones in melee. Like, a pug isn't going to understand that. They're just to be like, why didn't you get that one when you got every other one? It's like, okay, well, that one was, like, right in the boss's circle, so,
Yeah, I guess for me, I just feel like certain classes just bring more utility overall.
100%. If we're talking about like pugging, like what I'm doing when I'm building a pug in incorporeal week, or what's the other one?
So if you guys can still see it on screen,
called Frank.
The incorporeal is
incorporeal or afflicted. If I'm building a pug, I get only people who can deal with that affix.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which is tough for warriors.
And well, I will take this moment to talk about a game that we. So when I say we, me, Scrap, and Haywire, who's one of our ET members. We play a game where we have a point system, and we did it because Haywire accused me of building bad pugs.
He's right, though.
Oh my gosh. Don't.
I took offense with that accusation. So we started a game.
What happens
Scrap, interrupt me again and see what happens.
Go on.
The game was, for the most part, simple. There are some rules to it, like we have to be in a certain amount of like keys together or whatever, but it's +1 point if they did the carrying, and carrying is a loose term there. It's 0 points if it was, they did their job and they did it fine. And it's -1 points if we did the carrying, right? And at the current standing, I believe I'm at 9 points. Haywire is at 4. And Scrap is at -1. No, you're at -1.
So the problem is that points are given pretty freely to some people and not others.
Okay. That's why Shawnee and Lithian are here, because they're the other two that get to help choose the points.
Losing points for arbitrary things that don't have anything to do with the
like
game.
What? Because you just made a point about the incorporals and afflicted, and you said how you build your teams. And when you built your teams for us in the past 2 weeks, so the past 2 weeks were incorporal and afflicted. When you built our teams, you lost points.
No, I've only gained points the past couple weeks.
Was 3rd in DPS and didn't get incorporated.
Thank you, Shawnee.
Okay,
perfect example.
Yeah, that one.
Perfect example. That was the last one you lost points on.
In my defense, he said he would get them, so I believed him.
So
generally,
when Scrap helps us build our tier list, let's always take what she says with a grain of salt.
So I will say that in pugs, that if I ask them something, like I do reward people who are responsive to me as opposed to people who are not.
Yeah.
So like if I whisper them before I invite them and I say, hey, can you help with incorporeals? And they're like, yeah, man, that's cool. Like I'll
say whatever I need to get this key.
Exactly. Because then they're hungry for it, and then I'm like, oh. This is like a person. This
says
is
the person with -1 point.
That's true.
It's like having 3K IO alt. People whisper that sometimes. Too.
I do say that.
Yeah, you've lied to them
for years. And if they do call me out on it, I say I'm on my girlfriend's account. So.
Anyway, let's move on from this because.
Well, and ultimately, like, I mean, again, I think it's fair to say, and I don't want to knock the people who make tier lists out there. I think they would all agree. Play the class that you play and enjoy playing, because that's where you will thrive. However, what I want to really just tackle, and before we move on, is just like tier lists have a double-edged sword to them, right? Where they will lead people down a path that ultimately can, I mean, honestly, ruin a season for someone if they invest a lot of time in it. Because, we're sweaties, we play a lot. But if, my brother-in-law is like, hey, I want to play. And I'm like, oh, yeah, play this. It's meta or whatever. And then either they get tuned differently or whatever. Like, that's, I think of Soaker, for example, where he wanted to pick one. He picked Retribution Paladin. Now, granted, Paladin's doing fine. But I mean, hell, I can even pull it on here. So, like, it's slowly falling down the rankings, right? So it's lost 4 places over the course of the past couple weeks. And, you obviously don't play for the first 2 weeks of the patch anyways. And what I mean by that is you don't play for score, you don't play for ranking, because you're just kind of getting up and running and getting geared up. But, like, if it were me, I want to know that by the time I get all my gear, I'm at the top of those meters, right? And so if I'm a person looking at Wowhead, and if I'm, all those people looking at YouTube, and ultimately what I'm campaigning for here is please stop putting so much weight into what these people are saying, right? Yeah. Because they're not talking to you. And so what I'd ultimately like to do is for us to talk to you, and we'll make our own tier list of pugging rankings for all the classes. Now, again, we have tanks and healers up here. We can do those. You want to do those first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I will say something that like Dratnos and Teddles don't take into account is vibes. Like,
sure.
I feel like
I don't, because their vibes are going to be different from our vibes, because you're going to see.
Yeah, but I'm talking about stuff that can't be measured. Where I think that generally, like, warlocks will leave keys.
Like Demon Hunter tanks. Demon Hunter tanks all are jerks. Is that?
Yeah, that's true. Like, they have bad attitudes. Like things like that are like.
Well, fair enough. And that's why I think we're going to make this list, and I'm going to send it over to Wowhead and say, you need to put this up so that everyone understands what the meta is when it comes to vibes.
So what you're saying is that Dratnos and Teddles type tier lists are not for the people. They use too many numbers and facts. We're going to use no numbers and facts and just vibes and show you.
No, because in fairness, you are using numbers. You're just using your memory to say like, oh yeah, that guy. Those kind of people always pug.
Personal experience to tell you what you should and shouldn't pug. Well, okay, let's go.
I would never bring. I hate warrior tanks, right? Because they're all bad.
Agree.
Great. Let's start with prop warrior.
Prop warrior, I would put up an A or S. Or prop warrior? No, prop warrior is. People play below E. I'd put it in the bottom.
So I've got the way I've got it ranked is S, A, B, C, D, F, and then people play this question mark because like I haven't even seen it, right?
No, I see a lot of warrior tanks. They're just bad. They have warrior brain.
All right. We have to be quick about this, but I do want to. I want to establish some
go down the line and then average it.
Well, yeah. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you guys for a rating, right? And what I want you to think about is scraps. You can say vibe. We can talk about their general performance, and what I mean by that is, in the case of healers and tanks, it's like were they successful in their job, and then of course I want you to think about like the people that play them, right?
F.
Okay.
Oh God.
So starting with prop warrior,
I'm putting it in the F.
All right, Shawnee's F. Scrap.
I agree with Shawnee.
I would say C. So maybe
I'm gonna leave that in F now because the two F's to C. All right, and I'm in a D, so I'm gonna just leave it in F. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. What's next on the list? Which one? Okay, I think this is Vengeance. Okay, Vengeance, Demon Hunters. So right now, Vengeance high on the list, right? I think they share, if not maybe edging out Prop Paladins on the top of the tier lists when it comes to tanks.
If I'm picking a pug, like I want a guy who I know can solo the boss if all the DPS die, and that's they can. So I would give it A or S.
Yeah, but in fairness, blood DKs can and prop paladins.
I'm gonna put them up there.
You know what? I'm gonna put it in A for right. I'd say A for right now because I'm gonna surprise you with.
Okay, I'm gonna be the outlier and say because of where they sit on the tier lists, people are playing them that don't play them as well. And there's a lot of good ones out there because of some of the changes they've made, but there's also a couple of I'm A or B is fine, but
Can we do A because he says B?
I'll do A.
Yeah, A is fine, but
I'm fine with that.
But just know there's some bad ones out there.
Okay, Guardian. Guardian's the big bear paw, right?
S.
It's A. It's A for me.
It's the big paw.
So here's the thing, and I'm
I
gonna
love
agree.
bear druids because they pull huge every couple minutes.
But this is what I don't understand, right? Because they are, Lithium, correct me if I'm wrong, they're not, they're considered lowest, like maybe next to prop warriors, right?
Frank, I think the issue is that in the higher keys, it's harder for them to survive when their cooldowns are down.
Yeah.
In keys, they're ranked pretty low in the tier lists, but in raid, they're ranked pretty high.
Well,
right?
yeah, but this is a mythic dungeon
raid,
group, you know.
Put raid aside.
No raid.
They're
anything
low.
can be successful in raid, like in my opinion. So.
But I think at the top level of gear, at a key like 20 to 23, a bear isn't having issues staying alive.
Oh no, I don't have any issues.
But I think it's why it's ranked so low is because above 25 it gets like exponentially harder for them to survive.
In the vein of this podcast, the rest of us wouldn't see, right?
Exactly. That's why I'm saying they're S tier because they're like fairly simple to play, pretty easy to survive, and they pull huge and confidently. I like that.
Blood DK.
I don't see a lot of blood DKs.
I saw B. I saw 2 today. Yeah. One did my 22 rise, one did my 22 Atoll.
I know they can B. I know they can do A. I only say B because when you try to heal them, they're so up and down. It's just infuriating.
Well, yeah, but you shouldn't have to heal them at all, right?
Well, and on top of that, that's not only their niche, but like that's just how their play styles. I don't think they should be punished for that, you know.
Well, blood DKs die because they made a mistake, and that's the only way they die. I'd say B, but because there's some bad ones out there because they're all chasing the legendary and not. I mean, honestly, the only blood DKs I see are playing blood DK because they want the two-hander.
Okay,
whatever.
Scrap, what do you think?
B with them.
I would say C, but
C. Okay, I'm gonna put them in B
because they're slow.
I mean, that's true.
All right, prop paladin.
A.
Yeah,
S. It's S for me.
Yeah, it's high because it's got so much utility.
I think
I would put it in S.
Here's okay.
You don't even. This is why I'm saying S.
Why?
Because A, they can stay alive forever. B, they can help keep everyone alive. And C, they have a gazillion interrupts. And when I play with prots, they're always great, and they always pull like crazy big pulls.
Yeah, I remember that 23 Everbloom we did last night.
But I would never take a paladin over a bear if I had
would every time.
So
every time,
I'd put it lower.
Here's why
I would put it in front of I would put it in S with Druid, but in front of the Druid.
Here's why I get so not frustrated, but like here's why I get so wound up about tier lists anyways. Because this utility for prop paladins has always existed, right? Like they didn't get any new spell this season that made them more, utility bound, and that's why I always loved playing prop paladin. I mean, I'm doing 22 keys with like 460 gear. Like it's. So I'm gonna agree with you guys. I think it's ahead of the bear on S tier. Possibly the best tank. All right, Brewmaster.
I think bear is super close. Brewmaster. Ooh.
I don't see a lot of Brewmasters either.
I don't see a lot. So like B, I'd put it ahead of a DK.
I like Brewmaster, but I don't see them very much.
No.
Yeah, I don't see much. They do. They're their highest DPS right now on the meters, right? But you're right. Like no one's playing it, which is surprising because I felt like they got a little.
Play this?
Yeah, put it in people play this because I can't think of a time recently I've gone with one.
Yeah, I'm gonna tank on one tonight.
That's sad.
But you better.
But
yeah, by the way, for those at home, Lithian was committed to be our E-team tank for the season and has abandoned that very quickly.
No, I play my Druid and
you
I'll
do when we force you, but
when we make you.
I like tanking. It's fun. Brewmaster is a lot of fun. The issue with Brewmaster this season is they're a little bit squishier than they were in previous seasons. I think.
I think so they're just as squishy. Okay. All right, let's go to the healers really quick.
Wait, clear the board because I don't want to have to measure a druid against a healer. You know what I mean? Or against a healer.
No, that's not how tier lists work.
What? So I'm supposed to measure it against a healer?
You're doing it separately.
Yeah, but on top of that, you just
is it better than a druid or?
If you saw scrap Jesus, if you saw, let's just say for the sake of argument, a discipline priest and a bear at the same time. Who would you click first? That's the way you should look at it.
I would get both at the same time.
You can't do that. But yes, on a tier list.
I would get the healer because there's so many less healers.
There's your answer. So that's more important to you. Fine. That's why it's a higher on the list. Okay. First on the list, I think, is Resto Druid.
Like
B.
A to B area for me.
So
I think
these
they're A, but
they're performing pretty well, and I can't think of the last time I had trouble with a Resto Druid, but I don't know why. Every time I see one, I go, no, I don't think so.
That's kind of how I feel too. The only reason I take him is if I need a B-res. Like over another healer. Over like a Holy Priest, like if I need the B-res, I'll take it, but I'd rather have a Holy Priest or something.
All right, so what are you giving a score?
B.
B?
Yeah,
Johnny?
yeah.
B is fine.
They're,
B's
they're
good.
good, they're consistent, but
I
like,
want to point out that, like, for me, like, A to B is very close. Like,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think it's like a horrible to B.
No, I'll be honest. Like even the
Yeah.
people in C, like I feel like I'd still take them. Probably.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like the
Yeah, no,
D's where I start
I'd
going.
Dude,
All right.
if it's the middle of the night and I haven't had a tank apply and like a 2900 Prot Warrior applies, I'm gonna take him. I'm not gonna be like, ooh.
Not the Brewmaster.
What? Oh, you're
Nothing.
not. You're saying not the burden. Okay.
I would take a Brewmaster. I'd take any damn tank that applies.
All right.
in the
Preservation
middle of the night.
Evoker. Preservation Evoker.
I like them, but they do struggle on.
Nobody plays Preservation anymore.
Yeah,
So
that's-
Haywire plays one well, but I find I would say it's a B because it's
I'm going D.
with
I would say
B?
C. So
But
let's go
here's
middle.
the problem. If I take Haywire out, I don't see them in any keys.
That's
I
true.
find he doesn't personally.
That's because
struggle,
everyone will play
he-
Og instead.
He
Yeah,
says the
that's
class struggles
Og-
just due to range limitations.
Og-
So yeah,
The
I
range
feel
killed-
limitations, yeah.
C to D.
Og killed Preservation. But whatever.
Yeah,
You guys-
I say C.
C or D. I don't hate them.
Lithium, you're the
think
final
they-
decision.
I'm
C,
either
C,
way.
C.
C is fine.
Okay.
I think they generally do fine when I put them in keys, but again, I wouldn't take them over something that has better range.
They
Holy
get mad.
Paladin.
They get mad at mages
Paladin?
and
Ooh,
other
like a C.
casters.
I say B, Holy Paladin. I
B,
definitely put
C,
Resi.
Lithium.
Oh, B is good. I
B is
agree
good.
with B.
Yeah.
I feel like
Why you put it higher?
no lower.
Oh.
I feel like anytime we take a Holy Paladin, it's a disaster.
I
Nah.
find they struggle on mana, especially if we're pulling
think
big.
so.
They're
Really?
always
I don't know about that.
They did change like last season. I would argue to the hilt like that's not true because I never even used mana.
Yep.
But they did change how strong single target healing is, and so you do end up using more. But
Yep.
I'd argue Holy Paladin and Mistweaver like they are well. I
I
haven't
put
played
Mistweaver
Holy Paladin.
higher. I put it at A.
Well, we haven't
Are we
got
on
to
to
them
that
yet,
one?
so shut the fuck
Oh,
up.
put them up now. We're done with Paladin.
Discipline.
We're on disc.
Discipline.
Disc?
Disc is S for me. Every
Yeah.
disc I have.
I
is
was
just
to say
pump in.
A probably, but
I would always
fine.
pick up a disc.
Yeah, I would too. Because I feel like Disc
if
Priests
they
know what
apply.
they're doing. Like I
Yeah.
feel like they got cojones. I don't know.
No, I think, and I'm
Well,
gonna put them in S tier because you guys have vehemently argued it. But
I said A,
m-
Frank, but whatever.
well, you're a girl, so I already take away 70% of
that's
whatever you're
fair.
saying.
Yeah, but you said you would put them lower than S.
Yes, because like I just feel like there are good ones out there by all means, but it's one of those
like-
classes. It's kind of like not augmentation, preservation, or but like Blood Death Knight. That like there'll be that one person that just doesn't know what they're doing
Yeah.
and
If I
really
don't
screw
play it,
themselves.
Yeah, I'm still.
If they're chasing the meta.
Well, if it's in 20 to 23 and they have a high score, they kind of have to know what they're doing. Like
Yeah.
you can't get carried as a healer as well.
I
as you
don't.
can
We
as a
don't take
tank.
anyone with low scores in 20 to 23s, though. That's the thing. Like I
No,
still
that's
see
if I
absolute
see a
shit.
Disc Priest with a high score and like a Holy Paladin with a high score, I feel like the Disc Priest is more of a Chad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Like I'm
Okay.
like, oh, that guy knows Disc Priest, whereas Holy Paladin, it's like it could be his off spec.
All right, holy
that's just my take.
priest.
F.
I put you put
Ooh.
F.
I hate Holy Priest. They're
I was gonna
they're
say
always
S or
bad.
A.
What?
No, wait,
S or
but they're
A.
good. They're really good.
Shawnee?
Holy Pallies?
No,
Pallies?
No.
holy priest.
Holy
Holy
Priest.
Priest. Oh god, like
They're always so
C to D.
bad, dude.
I would put
I'm
them
with
low.
Shawnee. D.
Low.
Yeah, I've had
Yeah.
bad
Yeah,
luck with them.
dude. I
often
never
feel
have
really
good luck
safe
with
the
them.
Holy Pally.
I
mean,
see
Holy
their
Priest.
little angel pop up all the time.
See, that's it. You
Yeah.
get skewed by seeing the angel all the time.
Constant, and this is different between raid because Concentrate crushes in raid, but whenever we go into
I'm not
keys,
even-
he struggles.
Yeah.
I'm not
I-
even talking about raid.
No, I feel like in keys they're not that bad, but I feel like they
Alright,
do.
well, that's why
a ton of
you have
healing,
negative
but not a ton
one.
of anything else. That's fair.
And again, like some of it might be that they just have a different toolkit that doesn't make them great for keys.
Yeah.
But
I agree that I would pick a Disc Priest over a Holy Priest if they both applied, but I don't think they're that far from each other, in my opinion. I like to have a priest because you got to get that PI, man. It should
That-
be
Give
above
me
all
a
those
minute.
other ones just for PI.
yeah, but doesn't this have
Next.
PI too?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
They
what I'm saying.
do.
But Holy Paladin doesn't, and neither does Preservation.
They have Blessing of Summer though, or whatever, Blessing of Autumn.
I
Probably Pally's up all
I
the
had no
message.
idea they had that. Nobody ever gives me that shit.
Because you don't.
Because
probably
you're not on the
know.
top of the meter. They go, oh, that person doesn't need it.
Yeah. Okay.
Mistweaver.
Oh, hi. I would put that
Like
as
A,
an
B.
A or S.
Yeah, A or S.
All right, I heard everyone
You know
say A, so I'll just put A.
Put it in A just for that one guy who bitched at me the other day.
Again, I'll use my chase the meta argument. There's a ton of Mistweavers out there right now, right? And there used to be none, and it's sometimes hit or miss because some of those people that are playing Mistweaver now never played melee before, and they stand in everything, and they're terrible.
Yeah.
But they're so good right now.
I think A is comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, the argument is that Mistweavers can't run out of mana either, so.
No.
Yep, and they can't be out of melee, apparently, from that guy who bitched at me in the Everbloom the other day.
Yeah, they need their fists. They need their fists.
Yeah.
I would argue they can, but that's when they drain their mana quickly.
Not this
okay.
guy, Frank. Not this guy. He couldn't do it.
Yeah, where's Resto? There it is. Okay, Resto.
Shaman?
That's D.
Like CD area?
Yeah, I literally take it if I need a heroism. C.
Yeah. I'm saying D, but okay, between Holy and Resto.
I think Resto's better. Resto's better than Holy, but they're both bad.
I'd rather take
Shawnee, you got the tiebreak.
a Shaman.
I would say it's behind Holy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That is all our tanks and healers. So now DPS. Now remember, like for example, I haven't seen an Arms Warrior yet.
Well, okay. Do you want to just throw Og somewhere?
I'm just gonna leave
S.
Og here. No, let's.
Og and S.
How do I add another?
Og Poker, I'm like, you're in, buddy.
Add a row below.
Sexy meter.
Yeah, Og is just different.
Og. Call that one Og.
Yeah. Og goes here.
May as well call it Mega S, because if I see an Og, I'd take it.
You know what my only problem with Og is say like the 2 DPS die.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Oh yeah, you're
Og,
so like if one DPS dies and there's a mechanic where that has to be DPS through, like the fire boss on Wakecrest or something, or like the bees at the end of Blackrock Cold, like, and there's only one DPS up. It's so fucking awkward if the Og is the one out.
Yeah,
the bees.
All right.
The bees, are they not bees?
For the DPS, let's one line. You know, this is why. Give me your letter grade, okay? So arms.
Who plays this? Put that.
I mean, for me, the few I've played with have been great, so I'd put them in B. They like pumped.
I've not seen.
I choose C.
C. I'm also gonna say who plays this, and just for the fact that 2 of us out of the 4, I'm gonna put it there.
That's fine.
Yep.
Fury.
I'm fine with that.
A.
Fury is C.
What?
I've seen
every
no
Fury I've seen is pumping,
and I've seen none.
Oh.
Okay.
I've seen more arms.
Put him in B then, I guess.
I purposely don't choose Warriors. Period.
Yeah,
so
I don't like
I'm not gonna. I've seen them. I've seen a lot of them, but
yeah, but every time I've had, they've done really well. Fury has.
So A and Lithin, you said C.
Yeah,
just all right, I'll just put them in B. Low B.
So.
Low B.
Yeah,
that's fine.
All right.
I don't know what that icon is.
This is subtlety, right? No, this is.
It's Outlaw.
Oh wait,
no.
No, Outlaw's that. Yeah, that
I
one.
was gonna say all 3 of them look. Well, not the subtlety. This is subtlety, right?
Assassination, Lithian.
Yeah,
this is assassination.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay,
assassination.
Who plays that?
I think.
Isn't it not doing well right now?
Frank,
assassination is B.
Frank, here's what I'm gonna say.
I play it. It's B.
Is that I'm gonna excuse myself from all the rogues because when I take a rogue, I do not look at the spec. I just like rogue. So I
would put it in who plays this.
But it's not performing well right now, right? Like it's not good in Mythic Plus.
It's hard. It's good. It's good. It's good in Mythic Plus. It's better than
which is the meta spec
been.
of the 3.
Outlaw.
I want to say, and so this is why I'm not going to put in people play this.
Rogue anymore?
That is Outlaw.
Okay.
Jesus, scrap.
Lost her expert.
Yeah.
So
I want to say I saw an assassination rogue in my Atoll, and they pumped. Now, granted, I'm like Scrap. I don't pay too much attention to it because I can never tell the difference.
Put it in who plays this then? People play this.
Frank, we took an Outlaw rogue in our Everbloom one day, and it annihilated you and I.
Oh yeah,
it was like 400k, and we were each 200.
Outlaw, just throw an S because that's
just throw it an S. Yeah.
Like, if you're a good outlaw, you're awesome. You're amazing. Sub.
All right. What about Sub?
Who plays
Sub?
This?
I don't see people play that.
So we'll put assassination B.
Yeah,
yeah.
Ahead of Fury.
Markston, who plays this?
I'm gonna put ahead of Fury.
Yeah, it is.
All right, marksman. Yeah, I haven't seen a single one.
Who plays
None.
this? Not
Yeah.
seen one.
No one
Yeah.
plays it.
Yeah.
I have only
Hey.
seen you play survival scrap, so
That
I'm
is-
No,
I'm
I
going to
only-
exclude
only
you
know
from this.
one.
But how well do I play it? S.
No.
80.
I'm gonna make another one that
If I
says scrap
see-
plays this.
If I see a survival hunter in a pug, I take them immediately.
No, you
'cause I
don't, because
wanna-
you're a survival
No, you
hunter.
don't,
So why
'cause
would you
you're
want
survival.
to?
No,
You
because
already
I
said you
want to
don't.
show them how to play.
I would
Oh,
say, if I base it off scrap, I would put it A B. If I base it off everyone
Hey,
else,
me,
I'd
how
be,
dare you?
I don't see
easy
people play
there.
this. Everyone plays
Oh.
I see
Beastmaster.
no one play it.
Everyone
No,
plays
people-
Beastmaster.
People
I've not
play
seen
this
it.
question mark. I don't see
Yeah.
people play it.
Yeah,
But
But
scrap, you
undeserved.
play it amazingly well.
Beastmaster.
Undeserved
A.
people play it because it's really
A
fucking
and
good
not
to
S?
win.
It's A because they die all the time.
BM hunters.
Yeah,
I
Yes,
don't
they
have
do-
that experience, but okay.
Top of A.
All right.
Yeah, I'd put it at
Shawnee?
the top of A.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do take them if I see them in pugs.
No, I mean honestly,
Yeah,
I
'cause you
feel
don't want a hero.
they're a safe enough bet, but they're not
True.
an S tier because there are some out there
That's
that are
true.
just like cruise controlling to the meta, right?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Even higher.
The
Yeah.
meta of them all, Havoc.
Bottom of S.
Throw it in
Yeah.
S.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So Outlaw performs better.
I
No.
would take Outlog before I took a Demon Hunter.
Yeah, probably. I would.
Because
I
I, feel
wouldn't.
that people that play Outlaw actually know how to play it.
I agree with Shawnee.
That's fair.
yeah.
Okay.
That's fair.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Feral.
Who plays
like
this?
D-
I haven't
like
seen anybody play it.
F. Like
Oh,
F.
oh
You
Listen,
will
have
no.
you
only be
seen? I haven't
bad?
seen anyone play it.
I
So
haven't seen it. So
I
can't
don't-
say.
didn't
I don't see
Alicia
many-
dropped it? Didn't she?
No, Alicia played.
She's still
That's her
playing
name.
it. Yeah.
The only person
She
I've
plays that in
seen
Og.
play Feral, it doesn't look good.
I've not seen anybody play.
I
it.
haven't seen it, so we'll just people play this. Yeah.
I know one
that's
person
fine.
that plays it.
All right. Now
Me?
balance.
A.
A.
Yeah.
I hate balance, dude.
I
Everybody
haven't
do well.
I haven't
But they
seen
do
that
well.
many, but I also don't like
Everybody
balance, so I
that-
don't.
By
Everybody
nature,
that
just
brings
being
up
ranged
balance.
DPS
So-
is decent.
Maybe this is a cold take, whatever. But everybody that brings a balance druid is terrible. They're all bad.
That's a cold take. Maybe B then, but I would say A. I prefer if I'm seeing range DPS
I-
pop up.
I
love
think
a Boomy.
A for me is the one where you say, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely like I'm immediately considering them."
Yeah,
balance,
I'd
I don't
say-
immediately
maybe I'm
consider.
immediately considering it then.
Yeah,
yeah.
B.
Okay,
B is-
I'll
B
do
is
high
fine.
B since
Top
scraps
of
it.
B, yeah.
All right, the two Death Knights.
D-
Frost.
Low-key,
who
who
plays
even
this?
plays this? Because I
Yeah.
haven't seen like any DKs.
I've seen some people queue, but I look over them immediately.
no,
And
both
I'll put it this
DKs,
way: I'm putting the unholy in F because the one that had the legendary and
Oh.
absolutely shit the bed,
That
and
guy
he was
brought down the
geared
whole
to the
average.
teeth. Yes.
Okay,
Right.
Evoker.
All right. Yeah. Devastation.
I put it mid B.
Yeah.
Mid
Maybe.
B. You know they
Maybe.
can hero, right?
Yeah, but mid B.
Yeah, actually, now that I
Yeah.
think about it,
They
I
do
would even
have
say
balance.
C.
I don't see them
Yeah,
that
I
much.
would even say top of
I
C.
could take C. I could
Yeah.
take C for that.
Because
Yeah.
I'd
Okay.
so much rather an augmenter.
Ret Pally.
A.
Red Pallies.
Probably
A.
B or A.
Yeah, I want to say
Ooh.
B.
Okay.
I want to say B because there are some that I keep seeing that I'm like,
Put it
"Ugh."
below the balance druid because balance is
I'd
ranged.
put it in A. I'd put it at the end of A.
Lithium.
Right.
I put it at the end of A.
Okay.
There's
agree
so
with
much utility they bring, and
There's a lot of utility, but I rarely see them mega pumping in keys.
What?
So
I see you guys
I
annoy me every
disagree
time
with
one
that.
pumps.
Yeah, I
I
disagree with that
said
scrap.
mega pumping. They're like
Yes.
average pumping.
No, they're pumping above you guys, and you're like, why aren't you doing this?
No, I'm not struggling to beat Scrap Valleys. So
Okay.
I'm beating you.
Okay, Shadow.
who plays this? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Lithium, you'll have to recuse yourself.
Oh, A. I
S.
Windwalker.
A.
S.
Top
It's
of A.
It's
But
A.
below the
Really?
middle of A then.
Really?
Because I would rather take a BM hunter and a DH. Oh wait, that's the tank DH.
I would
Scrap.
take,
Windwalker.
I would put it behind
Yeah.
the Pally. I would sooner take a Pally. Than
So
a
you're
Windwalker.
telling me,
No, I
Scrap,
wouldn't.
you're telling me that you would take a Windwalker the second you see them?
If I like, okay. So if it's just me, yeah, I would take that as my melee DPS.
Okay, no. Assume
Over-
all roles are filled except for one DPS. Would you take a Windwalker over?
I would
No.
take it over. Yeah, I would take it over every melee DPS below S tier. So yeah, I would put
Do
it
you
right
take it
behind
over a Havoc and a Ret?
Well, Havoc is at the top. S.
No.
Oh no, sorry, that's Vengeance. You're right. Yeah, Havoc is S.
Yeah, no, I
I
would
would-
take a Havoc first. I would
And
take
then
Combat
Windwalker
Rogue
over Ret.
first. I would take it over Ret. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, Shawnee.
Uh,
If I had
I
the
would
res
I would
covered.
take the Ret first, only because And Lithian's right. You run into like the good and the bad with the flavor of the month. And currently, Windwalkers have bumped up to flavor of the month.
And I hate to say this to Lithian, but Lithian, you sometimes pump the shit out of keys, and then others you are fucking on
it's
Mars.
not fair because he's dead. That's because of him, not because of the class.
I mean, the class should have more to
I've seen no good Windwalkers in my groups.
I've seen good Windwalkers. I'm sticking with it. I'd rather take it over.
I'm putting them in top of B.
Top of B. Not even the bottom of A.
Well, I'll let you guys override me if you want.
I said bottom
of A. Yeah, bottom of A.
Okay.
You know what? I'm okay with them being lower because when I beat all those in DPS, it makes me happy. So.
All right, I can't. What is this? Destruction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who plays this?
Okay.
I don't see it very much.
Affliction. Who plays?
I don't see Affliction.
No, I've seen Affliction. Who is
not ever.
I've seen Affliction. Wasn't that Warlock that ran with you guys in that 23 hour
No, he was Demo.
He was Demo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I've
well,
never seen Affliction.
Who plays
all
it?
right.
Yeah.
All right. So Demon then.
I would say
S.
bottom of S.
So you guys are seeing different things. I mean, there are some amazing ones, right? But every time I take a Warlock into a group, they fucking suck.
They're worth it just for the stones.
I did the Atoll I did today. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I did the Atoll today, and he did like 130k. It was just like, what the fuck is going on?
In the 22?
Yeah.
That's upsetting.
Yeah.
And if so, that's
right,
how
you guys
those
are saying
guys
A,
inflate their scores.
Yeah, A and
I
A.
agree.
I'm
Lithian?
saying S for me.
Lithian?
I would take them every time.
I'm good with A or S. I think that if they are S,
I'll put them
they're
at the bottom of
last
S. Yeah, I'll put them at the
I
S.
would say I generally would take one over a BM Hunter just because they've got the B-Res, they've got a lot of utility, they've got a lot of stops. Yeah, but they have a B-Res. But I have hero covered, so maybe that's why.
I'm gonna come back to Mage enhancement.
Never see it. People play it.
I see it.
F to who plays this? I never see
it.
Enhancement.
This is interesting because this is one of the top tier specs right now.
Enhancement is good. Enhancement's good if the player is good, but if the player's bad, it's really bad.
Trust me, I would take an enhancement shaman if they applied to my keys like full stop.
So you've never seen it,
but I've never seen it, not once.
Okay.
I see it.
I haven't seen it, so I'm gonna leave it there.
I've not seen Ellie either, honestly.
I've seen Ellie, but I don't take him because I hear they do poorly. Right?
Because I remember early in the season playing with them, and they were not.
And when I played with like Asbraden, playing on his elemental, right? Like I haven't seen good DPS there.
That's not very nice.
Look, you guys will tell me all fucking day how bad my arcane mage is, and then the second I say, like, it's not that high.
Well, he's not here to defend himself.
What? Defend himself? Look at the fucking rankings, man. Where is it? Right? Actually, yeah, C is in the bottom, F. So I'm not telling any tales out of school here. They're climbing D. They're D right now.
I remember at the beginning of the season, I did a couple Ellie Shaman ones, and they were okay. They were definitely. I was just kind of not impressed. So
I'm putting C.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I
call F for that one.
Okay.
Okay. So Shawnee's trying to pull it down the D. Shawnee's trying to pull it down the D. What do you want to say?
D is fine.
I can do D.
I think D is fine.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right, I am going to recuse myself, and obviously don't think of Frank. Don't think of Frank when we talk about this, okay?
Oh, good, because that would pull it all the way down.
I know you would, because you're assholes. Literally, can I just point out? Literally, 1 second after you said that wasn't nice, 3 of you. No, sorry, Sean, you didn't say anything. 2 of you fucking start running your mouth. You toxic pieces of shit. Okay. Yeah. Let's start with Frost. Scrap, shut the fuck up.
To you.
Honestly, C.
Frost.
Right, Johnny. C?
I would put all 3 mages C. I don't like bringing mages. I'd rather pick anything else for hero. I find mages super squishy. And
on my just my 2 cents, I agree with Shawnee.
I never take mages.
No, I often am looking for range DPS, and mages
I would sooner take a hunter.
What?
I'd take a hunter for range DPS every time.
Yeah, I would. I would put him below hunter, but I'd put him in B. I'd put them all in B. Actually, I'd put fire in C probably.
Whoa, you're ranking fire lower.
Yes,
I would
because
go C
like I
for
said,
all of them.
Fire. I wouldn't put fire in a pug.
Fire
if
C.
my friend was fire, I'd be down. But like
that hurt. It's hard. Here's the thing. If like you said earlier, if you're in a coordinated group and the fire mage knows what the tank's gonna pull, then they're gonna do great, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen that?
This is what I'll point
I
out.
have seen that.
When, say if the 4 of us are in a key, right? With all on our mains, how often are we like, oh god, yeah, bring the mage?
I'm always
Never.
tempted because I want to see how they do, but I'm always disappointed.
I feel like
Frank's
they're fine.
Frank's motives are different.
Yeah.
I don't generally like to choose a mage, but
I would take it over a Fury Warrior though.
well, yeah, that's my point. Is you
Okay,
put
so
Fury Warrior
fire
in
and
B.
C.
Yeah.
Oh,
You take a
would
mage
put-
over a Fury Warrior?
I would take
not
a
a
mage
Fury
over a Fury Warrior all
I
day.
would put a Frost Mage above a Fury Warrior and Arcane probably below a Fury Warrior.
Arcane, I'd put an F.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I honestly would agree that Arcane needs to be lower because it's so hard to play, and people at the high levels play it really well.
Yeah.
But like everyone else that's playing, either they need a tank to help them pull correctly,
Yeah.
right? Like it's just like fire. You won't do well if the tank's all over the place.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna drop them down to D tier.
Okay. Oh, you just want that. You said you were recusing yourself.
Sorry, I was taking your
Well,
feedback and
I said
No one
C.
said D.
I said C. Lithian said F, and you said B.
We're
Oh.
splitting the difference on the negative side.
being the arcane mage, I'm gonna make the
Put it
final
at
call
the
and say
top
it
of
D.
D.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Top of D.
Top
Like I
of
said,
D.
I'm hard
Yeah.
because I'm always like, especially an arcane mage, I'm always interested. Like, oh, I want to, and then
I
they
would probably take
I
always
would
disappoint
take it
me.
before an LA Shaman for sure.
Yeah, I'd take it before Ellie Shaman. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
So
there's our tier list. Any changes? Anything you guys see before
our
we?
vibes based tier list. No, I think that looks good.
my next alt is going to be on the people playlist list.
Mine already is. Yeah, you could play Feral.
No, I'm not playing Feral.
Yeah, play Feral.
No, that one's out.
I kind of want to play Enhanced Shaman. I've always wanted to play that.
Enhance is fun, but I don't know. Like
Yep.
just because you have so much to watch, I can't watch mechanics, and that's why I stopped.
They're
playing
also
it.
I don't
really
watch
squishy.
mechanics anyway, so.
Huh?
They go splat.
That's true.
What'd you say?
I said I don't watch mechanics anyway.
Yes, you do. You just watch as they're hitting you, and you go, I don't care.
Yeah.
You just scream for a bop. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think overall the tier list is pretty how I would pick them. Of course, like every one of us are gonna have like slight differences, but I feel it's really
Is there anyone on the people play this that if you saw it, you'd be like, oh, I do really want to see that though? Like you take them because of that? Scrap.
no. Honestly, I would probably take a Shadow Priest just to see if they're actually good. Like if they got up
Yeah.
to almost 3k IO, I would want to see what they could do.
Some
Yeah,
are good.
I
There's
agree.
good shadow priests out there.
All right. I'll put them at the very top just because we're interested.
I agree with that actually. If I saw Shadow Priest apply to my key, I would totally take them.
Yeah, and I feel the same way about Brew.
Yeah, same with
I
Brew.
like Brew. I think Brew is great, but I'm biased.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean,
Enhancement, I'm
I
gonna
always
also move up too because I feel
Yeah,
like that's.
I was thinking about enhancement too.
I'm gonna put that. That's number one in my opinion.
Yeah. Put Survival Hunter up a little higher.
Nah,
Nah.
drop them down lower.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll go in the, they'll fall into the odd group by accident.
Og
Yeah.
goes here.
Now, that all being said, as much as I like Og, I am often hard to take them because I'm
look-
scared they're not going to be good.
I'm always taking an Og for the fun. Like,
well, okay.
like they're complete keys, but mostly I'm like I'd rather take an Og over like a Demo Warlock just because I'm gonna enjoy an Og.
I'll take
more.
an Og no matter what because they
'Cause it's fun,
defensive.
yeah.
No, they
Verify.
you don't. They're things that you don't see, but they're defensively making the key feel a lot easier.
Oh my
Yeah,
god, one of
if-
the best like groups I was with recently had an augment evoker who was handling everything. And I think that's like huge part of our success. That's the one with the 25 that we like missed by 3 minutes. And it was literally the key went so freaking smooth. Like our DPS wasn't ultra high. Like it was good. We just did not mess anything up. Like
You know, and
it
I
was-
think
it was
because there's an
awesome.
argument going on right now in the top, 0.1% group
Mhm.
that they're like, well, you're going to see augmentation dwindle, and based on, let me make sure I find the right one. Based on the meta right now, you're actually seeing it like it cut in half week over week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason why is because they're saying like you bring them for defensiveness, but
Yeah.
there's a point where these keys need to be timed because of the time, not because of the like difficulty of it. And so yeah, like you don't bring them because they're better DPS. You bring them because they make things easier. And in my
I
opinion,
bring it because I like seeing my big number go burr.
but like I don't see that as much as I used to.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah.
It definitely goes higher, but I don't see it as much as I used to. And besides, the Warcraft logs, for the most part, accounts for it. I know it's not necessarily accurate, and they're still fighting that, but like I don't know.
Unrelated, my dream is that they make a melee aug. Like they just turn
No,
or
I think
add another
everyone.
class or something,
Well,
and they have
hold
a
on.
melee aug.
All right, so okay, that wraps the meta discussion for
Okay.
today. Okay, next time we meet, we're going to discuss season 3, but I'm going to give you guys a little homework. Okay, we're going to discuss a wish list for season 4. Okay, and what I want each one of you to think about until we come back is if you could make, because my number one wish list thing would be eliminate all the affixes except for bring back the seasonal fix. One affix.
Wait, only the seasonal affix?
Only the seasonal fix, right? That would be the only thing you deal with, because I think affixes need to go anyways, because they're
I'm
either
vetoing that.
No, you can't. This is a wish.
Hey,
I
Santa, I want a bike. I'm vetoing this kid. You can't get a bike.
No,
the
the
fuck?
affixes are the
It's a
best
wish
part.
list, Scrap. Go fuck yourself.
I had this talk the other night with someone that I wish they took affixes out totally and just kept making it harder and harder, and it went
This
off your
reminds me
time.
of people who like they play Super Smash Brothers with no items.
Well, okay.
You know what I mean?
Argument.
Like, it's
No,
like-
the argument. In
It's
fairness,
it skews the balance a bit, but it's more fun.
no, but I think
I
the
don't
argument, Scrap, is that
not
they want to see
necessarily
more of a
more fun.
pure, like you're doing the dungeon, not the affix.
No, but I don't want to do the dungeon every week the same.
Well, look, this is coming from the person
this
who doesn't
conversation's for
do
next week.
No, and this is
Okay.
coming from the person who doesn't do affixes. So I don't know why the fuck you have a 2 cents
I
on
know,
it.
no, but I'm just saying I like it. Like
Okay.
oh, it's like
Your
this,
homework,
that.
Scrap, is to come up with
Your homework.
the perfect seasonal fixed. Okay.
Okay.
We won't worry necessarily about theme because, like, for example, you might have really liked the what were they called?
I like the
and obviously they had their own theme to it,
yeah.
but we could just change the mob that does that, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the perfect seasonal fix, that's what will be on our wish list talking point for season 4, but also get ready to talk about season 3 and how it's going for you.
Let's talk about Prideful and how great it was.
I loved
like
Prideful.
Prideful,
I loved
yeah.
Prideful. I know it was miserable at the top,
I
like
miss the
20.
seasonal affixes. Like I like.
Well,
them.
not after the first season. The first season's one sucked hard, so I don't miss them.
That was the thundering one. That
yeah.
one was obnoxious.
Yeah,
But
maybe
once you get the
we'll do a
hang of
tier
it-
list. Maybe we'll do a tier list of the seasonal
Yeah, let's
fixes
do a
too.
tier list for seasonal affixes. From when? From BFA?
From all of them.
Was
Because
there
BFA is when they
ones before
started.
BFA?
No,
I
they weren't.
didn't play Legion, so I can't.
No, they
with
weren't.
that.
They made one for Legion for time walking, but that's another story for another.
Oh, okay. So it's from BFA then. Yeah, I can do that.
All right. Cool. Well, again, signing off for our first episode. I'm happy to spend the last hour and such change with you guys, and I'm looking forward to talking to you guys again. I'll give you guys each one opportunity for last words. Shiny, starting with you.
I just pray that I eventually get player housing.
Oh, okay.
Player housing.
There's rumors that skull on Crossbones has something to do with player housing because of a series of tweets.
So it's more than anything in WoW.
I think it'll reinvigorate the profession, but again, we'll the professions game, but we'll talk another time. Lithium.
Yeah, they need to fix professions.
Play what you love, be happy.
Damn, you stole mine. Okay. Scrap.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to say play what you love and be happy.
My last 2 cents are I am 7 points away from 3KIO, and I can't wait to beat Scrap to it. So I'll see everyone.
65 hours.
I'll see everyone next
like
time. Thanks for tuning in. This is Around the Mage Table. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
See ya.